Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, y'all. It's Thursday night. Time for another episode of Fuck Your Feelings, the show. Coming live at you, what's this, Thursday, January 13th, 2000 and deuce. I'm just gonna run my mouth for a little bit here while we wait for Miss Toshiba to finish getting herself together and yeah, and I don't know why this angle's a bit off from what I want it to be, but it is what it is. We're again still trying to get everything in order as far as our production quality and the presentation that we're giving to everybody. Thanks for those that have already joined in. Loretta 53 and K Van B. What's going on? We're going to be starting here in a few moments. Tonight's topic is what is it? Love is not enough / rules of engagement. So we're going to be talking about kind of the other side of the coin. Most people think of relationships as, you know, how the positives it brings to your life and all of the good things that it adds, but it's like it ain't gonna be a good day every day. That's a guarantee. It's two humans coming together, a man and a female, a man, a woman, whatever you're doing. Anytime you put two people together, there's gonna be rooms for disagreements, and depends on how people handle their disagreements. Sometimes those disagreements can turn into full-blown arguments, you know, kerfuffles, however you want to look at it. But we feel like on this side, the better that you handle those disagreements is the better you are equipped at keeping things moving forward, basically. That's how me and the lady try to address it. We talk about a whole lot of stuff, whether it's something that's necessarily preferential or not. And hence the show, Fuck Your Feelings. What's going on, Julius? Appreciate you joining in. We are waiting for this lady. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this bogus royalty-free music. Like she act like she done the WWA or WWE or something like that. She's in the hallway doing a little dance, like she about to run through and fireworks about to start bursting and all that. Let me let you in, babe.
Hello, everybody. Good night. I wanted to look extra special.
Oh, well, I was having. She changed like 4-5 times.
I changed.
Tonight.
Listen,
Look,
I'm having a
really
moment.
Did. Changed a few times tonight.
God, this is a lot. Y'all don't know
All
what
right.
to do.
All right.
All
right. And all right. You good?
I'm good.
I think I'm good. Good evening. So, welcome again. Another episode, FYF the show. It's your boy Rob, better known as Robbie 3 times. And the woman, Toshiba, better known as the Queen of Jamaica. And that is self-proclaimed for show, but I'm just, you know.
Let me be.
I gotta tease you a little bit. You know how it is. But thanks for everybody that's already joined in. We're getting some invites going out tonight.
Couple of invites, everyone. Sorry.
Again, tonight's topic is love is not enough.
And it's not.
It really isn't. Love is a great feeling, but it's just that, a feeling, and hence the show. Fuck your feelings. It's just not enough to get it done here now. You should definitely be loving and in love with the person you're dealing with. That helps. But man, look, like one of my favorite comedians, rest in peace, the great Patrice O'Neal, he used to say, love is like a job and you be wanting to call in sick some days. Like, excuse me, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it in to love you today. Man, yeah, classic. To me, he's the GOAT. I know Dave has got the title right now, but trust me, if Patrice O'Neal was not in the ground, he'd be running rampant, because this world that we living in right now, he was predicting in it back in 2011. Just again, it like the effort to make men feel uncomfortable in their masculinity. But that's a whole other subject and topic right there. Um, welcome, welcome. Thanks for the reaction there, Joseph. I mean, yeah, it's like that, and that's why you've got guys again like the Godfather. You know what I mean? Like Uncle Kevin, who are just and again, Kevin been snapping lately, boy. Like, and I mean, I can't blame him. Time over and time over and time over again, he deals with the same situations, which are women bringing feelings to facts fights, and pow, 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 pow. That's like the OK Corral. That's never gonna get you any type of victory with anybody that's dealing with good common sense.
I think my thing is I'm tired of women being given these Disney narratives that all you need is love. All you need is love. You find someone and you fall in love with them and you ride off on this horse and that is the case. But love is never enough. Like relationships, and I think I've said it more than once, relationships are practical. So if you are having a practical relationship, how could love be the only thing? How could love be the only thing that keeps your relationship together? There's got to be other things. There's got to. What are you doing right now?
Who? Me?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what.
Stop paying me attention.
You with devices, and I'm like trying to figure out what I'm doing. But again, the practicality of a relationship is sometimes overlooked for the feelings. And again, the title of the show, and we're going to say it over and over again. Fuck your feelings, because the practicality of the relationship is what you should be looking at, and then the feelings.
Yeah, I agree. I concur with that.
Thank you for concurring with mine.
All right, so I guess
you moved some things around. My notebook, I think, might be behind there because I had some poll results.
It's over here.
I moved some things, and he moved some things, and things were moved.
Let me tweak this angle just a wee bit because it's bugging me. I had it perfect, but Instagram likes to.
No, but actually, I moved it a little bit when I was trying on outfits. Because I didn't like. No, I didn't like. I didn't like the angle that I had of my outfits. I still
you
like
did
it. It was all me.
You did it. You did it. Okay. I just want to come up a little bit here.
I don't like this angle, so I'm about to do this angle.
You're gonna do that? Okay, like back to back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got your back, babe.
That's what's up. Oh, real quick, for show reset. Sorrel and Sage, as you can see behind us, the OG corporate sponsor. They have the beauty and health and skincare and dietary. Like, I mean, she's touching on a little bit of everything. Again, designed kind of with the FUBU mentality for us by us. SorrelandSage.ca. Again, check them out. Great products, highly recommended. And back to it. So, love is not enough.
Love is not enough. For our poll, the first question was, is love enough to sustain a relationship? And 15% said yes. And then, of course, the remaining 85% said no. So if you're in live with us right now, I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether you want to type it in, you want to join us spontaneously live. But the idea that love is not enough. I think, huh?
Nothing.
I don't know what you say. Well, even though I'm this close.
Nothing.
Sometimes his voice is so like.
I was talking to myself. Sometimes I just say stuff, but I'm really more talking to myself. But I don't answer myself because that's really bad. But yeah, sometimes I just it's like rhetorical questions. It's like rhetorical stuff to myself.
Okay then.
Yeah, I never said I was.
That's why love is not enough. So let me ask you the question, babe. Is love enough?
No.
Why?
As a younger man, you know, again, I'm a Taurus. I don't know if any of y'all know. Supposedly, Taurus is fairly romantic, and it's like deep down inside, I do kind of idealize the idea of romance. It's just, I'm just telling you,
the real Robert.
They murdered love in 2000s. Yo, love fell with the Twin Towers. Love collapsed with the Twin Towers. It was in that big cloud of smoke because the whole world, it seemed like, changed. Tony Jackson is saying true love is enough, as that kind of love is a step below unconditional love. That's a First off, I love that my man pointed out there's different types of love.
Agreed.
There should be adjectives to the type of love that you're talking about almost. So what my guy is saying is true love is enough, because he would rank that right up under unconditional love.
Who has unconditional love? I'd be curious to know what you got to say about that. I think a lot of people think parents have unconditional love.
I think
for their
that's
children.
the only love that kind of fits into that circumstance, because it's not a choice. It's biological. So yeah, I say unconditional love is kind of reserved for children, like parents to children, and about 85% children back to parents. You know, it can get a little ugly sometimes. You know what I mean?
Thanks,
But
Tony.
yeah, children and parents is unconditional love. True love is that person that you're just, it's like, no matter what, I'm going to thug it out with this person. I'm going to rock through with them. It could be a lot of emotions behind that. But I think even still in true love, there's got to be practicality, because how true can it be if you just keep going through the same discrepancies over and over again, or having the same issues? But I would agree with that statement pretty much perfectly.
Oh,
like
see,
my
Tony.
man
Well,
said,
Tony's
exactly.
on. So here's the thing, Tony. Here is where I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
Yes, I think true love is important. I think people may not believe in soulmates, but I think you find your person. And maybe in different seasons of your life, your person may be different. Like the person in your younger years, in your teen years, may not be the persons in your latter year, right?
Right.
Everybody might see it differently, but I believe that you have your person. Even with loving your person, I think that like Rob said, there has to be a practicality to the relationship. So Rob is my person. I love him to the depths of my soul and everything in between. However, it is not the love I have for him that makes me sit here beside him every Thursday and move my entire life to be with him. It's because I knew that we could make a good couple. I knew that we had similar values. I knew that we had similar goals. I knew that fundamentally we believed in the same things. Even though we were different culturally, we had so many of the similarities. And then our cultural differences helped to guide us as well, right? To actually make us better. So I think that was my thing. If it was just love, I could love him from Toronto, Canada, right? I could have loved him from Toronto, Canada. I didn't need to have packed up my entire life in 3 suitcases and then come to be with him here. It is because I knew that a life together, when I looked 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now, and even though we can't predict things, I could see us moving and getting better with each year, with each period of our life. So again, yes, I think true love is a good thing and it should be enough, but we often think about the happy sides of the relationship. What about the bad parts of the relationship? I think if we think about some people who are constantly always in a different relationship, if you were to ask them why they are switching relationships, and that's men or women, it's because they hit a rough patch. And the test of a true relationship and true love is getting through the rough patch. If we only are signing up for the happy, how in the world could that work? I didn't want to stay in Toronto. I should actually correct that. I didn't want to actually be in Toronto. So I'm going to clarify that.
That's a whole other show
that's a whole
right
other
there.
Thing. I
too.
have,
To
be honest, I have seasonal depression. Toronto was no longer the place for me. I could not go through the 4 seasons of Canada anymore. It was mentally and emotionally exhausting. As beautiful as Toronto is, as much as I love that city, for me, it just was becoming tiresome, and I couldn't do it. So let me be clear.
Hey, gal. Hey, gal.
Whatever. However, we also have here's the thing. We also have a thing. And a lot of people may not agree with how we do it, but again, we're here talking about changing the conversation of Black relationships. Our thing is the woman follows the man. The man doesn't follow the woman. And so, yes, ideally, in some people's mind, well, if you were in Toronto, he could have moved to Toronto and so forth and so on. I
Hello.
I fundamentally believe the way I was raised by my father and my mother is that as the woman, because the man is your leader, you follow the man, not vice versa. Like the man doesn't move in with the woman moves in with him, or they find a place together. So again, wherever Rob goes and wherever Rob is, that's where I'm going to be. And it's not about him following me unless we decide and turn around and change our relationship contract. And Tony, you weren't here when we did that show. We actually have a verbal relationship contract in terms of how the next at least 3 years of our life will go, and we go from there. So yeah, I love that. Tony says I do agree with the belief of the women following, if that works. I think it should work.
I think that's really ultimately that it should. It means that the woman is having a little bit of faith and having a little bit of risk and having some exposure. That's kind of her motivation to stick around. I like that, you know, again, the OG Kevin Samuels, I might paraphrase him a couple of nights because his content's been pretty good over the last week or so since he's coming back. He had a young lady on from a Islamic background, as being her faith, you know. And she said, you know, over the holidays, I guess she had an opportunity to speak with some of the more senior members of her family, her extended family, etc. And one of the things she came away with is how much they had all actually been through together, good and bad. You know, definitely not all good. And she said she didn't really even understand it, but in their faith, a man can get divorced literally by just saying, I divorce you three times. And men don't divorce their women. But a woman seeking divorce has to go through like a serious, arduous process, like 3 to 10 steps of. And I think somewhere in there they kind of knew baked in, it's like it's in her nature to want to leave me. Like it is what it is, man. It's in her nature. Soon as something is not precisely how she wanted, she's got a little bit of wheels turning. Like, you know what? F all of this. I'm out. Onward to the next. On to the next. And I think that's kind of the state of the world that we live in. Everybody's on to the next. As soon as something gets bad, you're ready to run off. So in that religion, they know, like, look, the woman is going to want to leave you, bro. She is going to want to leave you because you're probably going to do some shit to make her want to leave you. But that's, again, a whole nother show. But a big part of it is that you have, if there's no skin in the game, there's nothing to kind of persevere or push through or anything like that. So, you know, that's one of the points that I just taken is like in that faith, they kind of see that as something that's kind of just baked in there, you know, or whatever.
I'm just going to read Tony's comment.
Yeah.
He said, well, I say if it works because being once married, I followed my ex. The job opportunities were more prevalent at her spot and it worked because we ended up moving back to Toronto. Good for you. Listen, it's all about what works, but I think, again, growing up the way that I grew up, it was the man. A woman's job is her man's helpmate, and I think it's imbalanced in a way if the man is constantly following the woman. And I get the opportunity factor. The great thing about Rob is, in addition to being an ex-pro ball player, he's in finance. And, you know, he's got a bachelor's in economics, he's got an MBA, he's in finance. And the great thing about being in finance is there are finance jobs all over the United States and all over the world. And so just by the nature of his job, it would allow me and us to be able to move in a different space. And so that is the good thing about it. Again, so when I said love was not enough, when we sat down and started talking about what a relationship would look like, we put everything on the table. Sure. What does it look like if I work? What does it look like if I don't work? If I don't work, what else am I doing? Because again, I went from a very heavy corporate 60-hour work weeks to now, you know, I have a job. You know, I'm a business advisor, but also my job is Rob. I know.
Full time.
Oh my God, this clip will probably go like, oh my God, I can't believe she just said
full
that.
Time.
But my job is
full
Rob.
Time. Like, I appreciate it.
That is a huge part.
That's a big part of the love that I have for her. Like that is. That's a big part of the love that I have for her. She understands that me, this family, our thing, what we're trying to do together is a job. That's her for most y'all. What was it? I said it on another show. It was like, yo, how can you consider yourself a successful woman and your family out of order? I don't believe that's even possible. But a lot of modern women, they look at it like, I'm getting money. I got this title at work, but, they kids is out all night. The husband in the strip club constantly, family all out of whack. But she's a success. I don't really agree with that. You know what I mean? And then just to the whole, is love enough? Another point that Kevin Samuels made that I thought was very authentic and very serious, and it doesn't get enough consideration to why we have some of the problems that we have in the modern world is 200 years, is that a long time or not that long?
Oh, 200 years is hella long.
It's a hella long time, but in the age
50
of
years is hella
all
long.
the time on Earth, it's not that long ago. So we're in 2022. If we go back to 1822, 200 years ago, me and you would have met as teenagers, had 5, 6 kids that work on the farm or the plantation, or we might have been still slaves, who hell knows. But we would have been both dead by like 45. Yeah. Dead, all BS aside, we would both have most likely been dead by the age that we're currently now.
Agreed.
We live 2 to 3 times longer than we used to, and I don't think we were really conditioned to deal with the fact that, like, who can stay the same for that much longer of a lifespan? You're going to go through changes, growths, regressions, you name it. And hence, I think relationships and romance and even commitment is more seasonal unless you have something more than love. Keeping you guys, like, you got to have like the same North Star or something like that. I would look at it like you got to be headed in the same direction.
Well, it leads me to the next poll question. Good intro into this.
Oh, okay.
Would you rather your partner love you or like you? So for love, it was 33%. So 33% said they would rather their partner love them. And of course, that means 67% said they wanted their partner to like them. So question to you, whether you'd rather me love you or like you?
It feels better to be liked. Definitely.
Why'd you say that?
Because that's kind of the day-to-day stuff. Like, if we weren't fuck your feelings, and I was just in my feelings all the time, and this is not shade, y'all, I'm just saying, again, I annoy her so much, it might be like, I don't know if she like me. You know what I mean? Again, I know. I was going to say, she's lying. She does like me. But if I was like a sensitive soul beyond my skin, like Sorrel and Sage, I would be more in my feelings at like, oh man, I don't know if she likes me, you know what I mean? But I know that she loves me, and there's times where how much you like me becomes so evident in just something maybe funny that I say, or I'll do something that to me is not a big deal, but you make a big deal out of it, and you're just like, oh, that was right on time, or whatever. So I would prefer like, definitely, because that's more the day-to-day. Like makes the arguments a little less hostile, I imagine. But yeah, love is important though, because that's like loyalty almost. Like, and again, I take loyalty over love.
So would I, actually. So if I had to answer the same question that I just posed, would I rather be liked or loved in my relationship? I want the person to fundamentally like me, because we're going to go through seasons of love. Yeah. And listen, it's an emotion, right? So we go through seasons of love. Part of what can you love someone without liking them?
Yeah, I think it's.
Well, you said you've experienced that.
You can get it.
You're right. You're right. I'm answering that wrong. Yes, you can love someone without liking them.
Because again, you get emotionally involved in a situation more than you're really aware of. And then the like was a lot more fleeting, because again, you can go from really liking someone to not liking them at all in days, I would imagine, you know what I mean? But so yeah, I think, and again, I would almost think like familiar relationships. You can love someone without liking them. For
no,
sure,
there's plenty of my family I love because they're blood, but I like them.
But yeah, not my favorite people, but love them to death.
Sorry, the Jamaican comes out, like, because I really think about members of my family, love them, but I like them. I digress.
Welcome.
I digress. So I would definitely want to be liked if I had to choose like over love, because I think what's important is when you like a person, you generally like it because you have things in common. How many people have you met that are in quote unquote in love, but they have no common interests, no common goals, no common nothing? And you question to yourself, like, how is this going to work? Because they're not nothing in common. Like, it's crazy. Like, it doesn't make no sense. So, our foundation was built on some of our commonalities from childhood, some of the things that we experienced, some of the things that we experienced in our adulthood, some of the things that we decided we did not want to experience again. And I think one of the big things was we wanted to be in a relationship where we could be our authentic selves.
Yeah. And you know what's a crazy one? And it's a dangerous one.
Oh, Lord.
But we be ready to fight over the same shit. You know what I mean? Like, stuff happens, we both be like, mother suck this dick. So I think even today, the same things that take us like there, like hot, ready to do something to somebody even, we both, like when we're together, it's like somebody might just swerve, like we were walking, somebody swerved too close, and she was just like, what the hell? And I was like, see, that's why I don't even move a certain way, because like that situation can just be bad with my temper sometimes. But anyways, I digress.
You do digress. No, but I think the important
what
thing
up, twins?
Is my like at the Julia.
So, yeah, she be hot now. She's spicy. Queen of Jamaica, spicy.
Here is the thing. When it comes to Rob, I hope many women feel this. It's when it comes to Rob, I will defend him against his own mama. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care who got something to say. I do not play when it comes to him. Don't say nothing about him. I don't care who you are. You don't get to talk about him. Me no business. So that is my thing about Rob. I'm very, very defensive of him as a person. Like, I get to say what I want to say, and I don't. So I don't even care, again, if it's his mama. She don't get to say nothing about him, but that's just me. Can you please stop it?
I'm
going to read what... Oh, my Lord of mercy.
I was trying to do that, but okay. Anyways.
So, Real Tony Jackson says, to be clear, the Real Tony Jackson says, I feel I prefer love over like. As I get older, I find that I am liking less and less people. At the end, I want to know I'm surrounded by those I love.
Real talk.
I agree. Listen, we don't disagree with that. And let's be clear. We love each other. I just said I will defend him against his mama, the woman who gave birth to him. Like, go, like, fist up, be ready to go. I don't play when it comes to my man. However, if it was just love I had, I don't know if I'd just be sitting on this couch if all we had was love. It was, again, the fundamental values we shared. It was the commonalities we have. It was the things that we experienced that we knew we didn't want to experience again. It was how we saw ourselves in the future. It was my desire to be, in this modern world, traditionalism as a traditional woman, that can be difficult. There are a lot of women who will look at what I said earlier of me saying that my main job, after being in the corporate world and working 60-hour weeks and being the director of this and the regional manager of that, my job today is Rob. That is my job. I literally, let me give you an example. I decided this year that the job market is such a hot market for what Rob does. I said, they do not pay you enough money at work. And so my job is to find him a better job. I have an entire spreadsheet. When the interviews come, I prepare the sheet for Rob. He knows who he's meeting. When they're communicating, they're actually communicating with me because I have an email address for Rob that I run. When the responses come back, I can look at my spreadsheet. I can look at when I applied. I can look at all that stuff. I put it all together, and literally Rob just sits there and do the interview.
Hey, to my current employer, we're not talking about you though.
No, we're not.
We ain't talking about you. We just saying.
Right? And so it was one of those things that for me that a lot of women would go, well, why can't he do that himself? And my answer to this back is, why should he? I know his strengths and his weaknesses. Rob is not going to sit there and do any of that. All of it. Thank you, Mr. McWell.
Better have.
Okay.
Better have.
I also know he's not going to do it. I am going to sing his praises a lot more than
she
he
does
will.
it much
I
better
do
for
his
me.
resume. I do I actually, but right before the show, I redid the resume because there were things that I thought was missing. Like I do all of that, and for a lot of women, it's like he's a grown man, he can do it for himself. But guess what? He has put me in a position that those 60-hour weeks, they're my own 60 hours. If I'm investing 60 hours, it's because I have 2 talk shows, a radio show, an 9th book on the way, and I'm also a business advisor, but I also don't pay any bills because I don't have to worry about the fundamentals. So guess what? Listen, I ironed his outfit before the show. It's like, and again, for a lot of women, it's like, and I just don't get that, but that's just me.
And as a disclaimer, again, not to throw shade, but she was kind of pissed at me and the girl this week, earlier actually. So
I'm on strike.
Yeah, technically she's been
technically
on strike.
I'm on strike
this week, but she did iron the fit and shit like that. But technically so when she's had enough, she's just like, you know what, y'all big MFers can fend for yourself.
I'm on strike
this week. Because I love to joke with her, real talk. Her boss is a bitch.
Yeah, my boss is a lot.
She's the worst. She sets crazy deadlines, crazy goals, crazy performance metrics, but it keeps her grinding. So it's like on one end, she's never good enough, but on the other end, I'd be like, you think you can tell your boss to shut the F up so we can just chill and watch this movie? But,
I work sun up to sun down, but again, I'm in a position where I have someone who is at this place in his life where he's like, listen, I would rather you invest this energy into the family to get us where we need to be. And there isn't a lot of women who are going to look at their men and say, you know what? You are better than you are in the position you are right now, so let me take over the entire process. Rob has no idea where I'm applying to. Rob, he knows nothing.
No, I don't really care. And I think on the flip side of it, I know, and we talk about it. It's been difficult lately, but I can say it, especially since we're on the show now. This is our therapy. Like for me, I have zero doubt that I'm gonna take us where we both want to be. Like I remember saying in a previous show, there's no way you're more ambitious than me. There's no way you want a bigger life than me. There's no way you want it more than me. But I think that you don't always trust the way that I attempt to go about things. And that's tough for women sometimes because, you really want your man to be straight and narrow, laced up. And we're not men. We don't shower sometimes. We dirty. We just, you know what I'm saying? We're not like y'all. But we also expected to die first. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things again, sidebar conversation, why does dad get the big piece of chicken? Because if the burglar breaks in, he's expected to die first. That part. That's why he deserves a big piece of chicken.
And why he should be fed his plate first. There is a big debate. Sorry, this is completely a sidebar. And this is, again, why love is not enough. Because women will say that they... Thank you, Twinsing! On the shower. Tell them again to all on the shower. I'm going to talk about people in the shower. Anyways, let me not even get into that. Anyways, there's this big debate. And so the real Tony Jackson, I hope you're still on. This is one of the reasons I was saying love is not enough. Because I had a post that I put up and I basically said to women, if you are really looking in this place saying that you're going to give your children food first and not your man, are you really ready to be a wife? And women went on and on that it's the love for my child and a man might leave me and all that stuff. The way I was brought up, there is no way on God's green heaven I have my children and my husband sitting at a table and the children are being passed their plate first and then him last. Where did the children go to work to put any food on the table? So this is why I'm saying a lot of women will say that they love you, but when tested, when it comes down to it, how do they display love? Which gets to my next poll question is, what's more important, actions or words? Well, this one was unanimous. It was 100%. Do you guess what?
Actions.
Actions.
Like
there's
a
reggae
cool
song
and
called
shit.
Action Nakabagamot. That's Terror Fabulous and Nadine Sutherland for anybody who cares. But actions are a huge thing. And I think your partner's actions will tell you whether they like you or love you more. Thank you, real Tony Jackson. It's very much action.
Yeah. Like,
Nakabagamot.
he ain't about it if he talking.
That's very true. Which leads us to one of the other questions that I had, and I think this will be an interesting one for people. And it was, should your relationship, but unless you're polygamous or polyamory, whatever, and you have relationships, so that could work too, have rules in place when you argue. So again, listen, it's not about fairy tales and sunshines. There are going to be places in life, times in the relationship where you argue. Now, again, if people are saying it's 100% actions, when you are arguing, when you're in those mad places, should you have rules in place? Now, the response was, guess what the response was?
I mean, I think that's kind of going to be disappointing a bit. I'm a little nervous about the poll to this. I feel like it's not going to be as high as I'd like that answer to be.
Well, it was 100% of people said you should have rules in place when you argue.
Why do I see people in Walmart blanking on each other?
Well, because the followers of our show are enlightened. So thank you, followers
That's
of our
what it
show.
is. Okay, y'all ever seen a couple where you embarrassed for them? You ready to, like, you getting red and like,
Jesus, like,
Lord, like he gonna kill her if she keep blanking like that. I remember once I was sitting at a red light, and behind the Circle K, it was this lady cussing out her dude, and they were homeless, living behind the Circle K.
not a homeless
I was
cuss
like,
out.
damn, that's gotta be harsh. Like, homeless and you still getting blessed out by your woman?
Not a homeless cuss out. Are you going to cuss
Tough
somebody
crowd,
in the
man.
yard?
Tough crowd, man.
Holy crap.
How you? Yeah, tough crowd.
That sucks. How you going to be homeless trying to have a woman and she cussing you out?
Man, that's what I was thinking. I was like,
Literally
damn,
right
I
on the
had to
street.
go smoke for the bro. I was like, damn, that shit really put me in a place. Like, I had to think about that. Like, damn,
I'm
man.
sorry, I'm dying. That is
I was like,
actually
yo, that's why they be finding, man.
Well, the follow-up question to that was, does your relationship have rules of engagement for arguments? So this is where it differed. 60% of people said yes, and 40% of people said no. So even though 100% of people agree that you should have rules around arguments, only 60% actually do have that. So Candy Goldie, I'd love to read what she has to say. Sorry, Candy Goldie Rose. I think that a lot of couples that communicate that way don't truly love each other. Do you care to elaborate? I'm assuming it was the story that Rob was telling, but if you want to elaborate on this, I would be curious to know. You can also come on live. We're open to that.
Yeah, we love our guests. We love having guests
But
on.
I think, you know what, that word communication is key. But the biggest thing that drives Rob and our relationship is our rule number 1, and it's no disrespect.
Yep. And rule number 2 is refer to rule number 1.
Pretty much. We have a no disrespect rule.
And it's funny because, like, we've never outlined what disrespect is. But like I said earlier, like, we be ready to fight over the same stuff. So we both had an understanding that
Candy Goldie Rose said she'll come on live.
we love our guests. But we definitely say,
Oh, and real Tony Jackson wants to come on live too.
hey,
Let's
okay.
go
I'm
on.
going to let you, this is your
I'm
coordination
gonna go
part.
through,
But
go through
yeah,
and get real Tony, 'cause he's been
disrespect,
on
you don't
since the
really
beginning.
have to define it. You know. For sure.
And I think that's the part. We've never had to say this is what respect looks like. Tony, I know I clicked it. There you go.
Hey, what's going on? Make sure we got good audio.
I think we got good audio. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear
I don't
me?
know what we can't hear you. Hold on. We got like a whole little mic situation here. Robert, did you plug it in?
Let me just test something real quick.
He's gonna test something. Hold on. We got 2 mics that we both use. There we go. Can you hear?
I can hear.
Hey,
It
so
jumps
tonight-
back between
tonight
1 and
is
2
yours.
for us. Yeah.
So what do you want to share with us? And thank you for joining.
Oh, thank you for having me. Hold on, let me turn my. I can't hear myself.
Sure.
But can you still hear me?
Yeah, let me
Yes, I can hear
take
you.
some of this volume out too.
Okay, great. So in terms of relationship communication and getting to arguments, I do agree that there should be rules of engagement and the disrespect thing is a big key to
Very big.
keeping things civil. What I wanted to ask you guys is, what do you think about if there is if there's a disagreement and one person feels like discussing it and the other person does not? So not to say that that person that does not wish to discuss it at that particular time, they just feel right now I don't want to engage, but the other person's insisting, no, we need to talk about this now. How do you sort that out?
I'm
Tony, you describing me, brother. You describing me, brother. She knows it too. That's why she was getting ready to say it. I just intervened real quick to just be like, you describing this man right here. She knows, like, I'm a cerebral guy, and sometimes she's just too much, man. And like, I have to absorb everything she said and kind of replay it and make, because she knows I'm quick to get like feisty with her, and I don't know why. It's because I love her, and I'm passionate about our relationship. But sometimes, and when I feel she's a bit of a brat too. So when I feel like she being bratty, sometimes I'll be like, Yosemite Sam, I'll just be pop pop pop, like just going crazy, and I'm like, yo, chill. And she's like, well, oh, and even to the fact where she's come to accept it more, where it's not like a disrespectful walk off, but it's a more of a like a mic drop. Together. Walk off, please don't chase me, because nothing good is going to come out of that. But we always revisit it before we hit the sack.
So, you know what I mean? And I think that's the key, right? We've gone to the point where we understand nothing good is going to come of this conversation right now.
Right.
However, it's not a conversation we're going to have tomorrow. It is a conversation we're going to have later on today, but nothing good comes out of that relationship. And like we said, we always refer back to rule number 1. If we know that the relationship is, the conversation is getting to the point where it's so heated, we go, you know what? No. You know what I say to people? And it was funny because I think I've said it, I'm Jamaican, and Twins Inc. is probably counting, and I'm hot, right? Like I'm ready to go. I actually, in a split second, will think, if I say this right now, what could happen? How will he react? And the moment I think it's negative, I will cuss him in my head, but I will never say it aloud. Because I'm like, if I want to keep this relationship, and I do, it is not worth this. And so we came up with a saying where we say, do not make permanent decisions on temporary feelings. Mm-hmm. Arguments are temporary feelings. However, they can permanently damage your relationship.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't let your mouth write checks your ass can't cash, like they used to say.
Candy, we can't see you. If you want to turn on the light, girl. You might be American.
Oh,
so
but okay, there you go. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We can. We can. And Tony, please stay on.
Yeah,
we'd love to have.
It'll
be great to have a man and a woman to be able to talk. We cannot see you, however, but we can hear you.
I just got off work, y'all.
Okay, girl. Okay.
All right. You get a pass.
Can you hear her, Tony?
I can hear her faintly, yes.
Okay.
Let me give a little more volume.
He's going to give some volume just in case. So Candy, is that your name? I've been calling you Candy because of your tag, girl.
Yeah,
your handle.
Yes, it's Candy, but my nickname is Candy.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. So what would you like to add, or question you may want to ask?
So if with people that I love and I'm disagreeing with them, but with the intentions of coming up with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I'm in a disagreement with you or I'm angry with you, I'm still not going to communicate in a certain manner. Like I'm divorced, but I married my high school sweetheart for 9 years together.
Mm-hmm.
Never called me out of my name. I don't even remember him raising his voice at me.
That part.
Even though we weren't good for each other, he never disrespected me. Because
and that's why rule number 1.
Each other.
Yeah.
Did you guys, even though you're divorced, oh, we got some serious feedback there. Even though you're divorced, would you say you guys are still on pretty good terms?
We so we are, but we don't. So we used to communicate. We used to live one street over from each other, and even though we were
Uh-huh.
divorced, we still did everything together, which was fine when I was dating someone else. But he's remarried, so when I became single, it put a strain on their marriage because his wife started to be very insecure. And I love him so much that I don't want to put any pressure on him. So that's my best friend. Like I wouldn't have kids with I people talk to me about their relationship all the time. And the first thing I tell people when they're
Sugar Jam.
communicating, they're you throwing shots at each other. Well, she this, she that, and I say, like, if you love, why did you have a baby with somebody you feel that way about?
That part.
That part, and I
Like,
was going to say,
dating is one thing, or even sleep or whatever, but you had a child with somebody you genuinely hate. My mom just got a divorce after 20 years. No love at all. They're in their 60s, bro, and they married for convenience, and everybody's where they need to be. And now they're not together. And I grew up in a home watching my mom go through two very abusive, toxic relationships. The first one, she was abused. The second one, she was the abuser. And y'all didn't love each other. Because
mhm.
people I don't love, I of course I'm gonna say certain stuff to you. If I love you, certain things are not gonna come out of my mouth, and I'm not gonna communicate with you in certain way.
You know what the interesting part is? You said they didn't love each other, and I wonder if it's just they didn't like each other. Because believe it or not, I believe that when you like someone, there is this feeling that you do not want to hurt them. Because
Right,
again, love can be a fleeting emotion. Not that like isn't, but I like Rob as a person. Like I
mm-hmm.
like him as an actual person. I like the person that he is. And I understand that maybe when we're 60 and 70, the love that we have right now, 20, 30 years from now may not be the same kind of love, but I'm still going to like him. I think
Right.
he's funny. I think he's charming. He ain't romantic. So despite what he tried to say earlier about romance, he is
Deep
not.
down inside, deep down inside,
Okay,
that's it.
but I like him as a person. He makes me laugh. Like he's the most cerebral person I've ever met. He's super smart. If there's a topic that comes up and they're like asking about something in Russia, I just turn to him because I know he's gonna have the answer. Like he motivates me. He's all of those things. And again, in 30 years, I may not love him the way I love him today, but I'm always gonna like him. And because I like him and I always want to keep him around, that is why our number one rule in our relationship is no disrespect.
Right.
None at all. So I appreciate you saying that you and your husband,
Got it.
despite the stuff that you went through, he never called you out your names. Because here's the thing about people. I say there's two things you cannot get back: time and the words after you've said them.
For
Yes.
sure. Like the stuff that come out your mouth, that's biblical. They even say about that, But
Love
I
their
wanted to kind of,
selves.
yeah, and to throw it back to Tony for a second because he's been just kind of chilling, and I really felt like you had a purpose because you're the driver of this entire conversation. So what is your experience with that, brethren? Like, do you feel that in your experience, the women that you've encountered and had minglings with, would you say they know how to argue?
Yes and no. I mean, with everything, there's good and bad, right? So I've had a taste of both. Um, but I can say the distinction that I will make between the good and bad is the ones that I know there's a genuine love for that person. And this is where, going back to what I had said earlier, I had said that I prefer love over like, because I think like is the foundation of love. And that's why I'm saying that, you can't I don't see how you can have love without like. But
He's had relationships
But
with no like.
that's down the road. I think. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it can't start off with that.
Sorry.
But yeah, when you get into
well,
some things
I generally have to
on the
like
back
someone
end,
before
yeah.
I generally have to like someone before I get like, okay, so for example, uh, she's probably gonna kill me, but someone my long lost love is had signed on. I don't know if she's still on, but we've known each other for many
You
many
have to drop
years.
us a dime on the low.
I'm not gonna
Sorry,
say her
you're
name. I'm not gonna say her name,
romancing
but you know, I you know, with her, you know, it's been a like roller coaster around to the other side of the world and back. We've gone our separate ways where she's in a marriage. I've gone on into other relationships, but somehow we find our way back, and that's because of the friendship that we have for each other. That's the
For
foundation,
sure.
and that will, as far as no matter what has happened between us, I can't see that being shook by anything. And that's one thing that's always brought us back together. Just to even check in on each other, see how each other's doing. How are you doing? How's life? We check on each other. But at the end of the day, I know it's grounded. It's grounded in love. Like I feel that like we've argued, we've had arguments many arguments and things like that. But I'm never threatened because of that love. I think, but again, I don't think that love can exist because in the early stages of building that relationship with her, we genuinely established a like for each other,
Yeah.
and that's the foundation. And I think that's the core that can't change. And I don't think it would ever elevate to what it is now. Where we have a genuine love for each other, but it even though we've gone separate ways, I think that it's something that I don't think it can change. I don't think it will go away.
Yeah, I think when there's a genuine like, it's harder to disrespect.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like when it's sour, and that's why I say where love can turn to where you realize you love this person, but the relationship's soured. You realize you don't like them the way that you thought you used to, and that's not a good space, and you can find yourself into like toxic, disrespectful behavior when it goes in that direction. Like, to go back to Candy, what it was sounded like in her space, even though she said they weren't good for each other, and I'd love her to unpack that a little bit more. She said he never disrespected her, never called her out her name, and that's why she speaks highly about that man still to this day. And I commend that. I think regardless if the relationship goes its separate ways or it ends or whatever, you can choose to part ways where it's like, and like she said, they were cool until he got remarried. And then out of respect for his marriage, she kind of fell back. Like, I'm not going to, your wife doesn't appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and let that go. And I would probably say that's maybe an indicator that might not be the greatest relationship in the world for him, because again, it's pretty, I would also think it's obvious y'all not trying to get married again or nothing like that. So, just you can't be. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of finding yourself with a problem with pre-existing relationships. Like, if she just came home with a nigga like she just met Saturday, I'm gonna be kind of like, yo, what? What are you talking about? Like, you just met, and it's your friend, your best friend, and y'all do all this stuff together. Like, you just met this nigga. What are you talking about? But like again, she knew this man before she knew me. I don't understand how I can have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But there should be boundaries for sure.
Candy, you want to weigh in?
I definitely have been in relationships where there was not that like foundation that I was referring to wasn't established, and because of that, when things got contentious and there was disagreement, it got dirty.
Yeah.
There wasn't a genuine like that was established, and that's why I'm saying that it's to me. I find it difficult if you want to have that level of love for somebody that you're in a relationship with, without that foundation of likeness, that the likeness that you have for that person. I think the rest. I think that's where it comes in, that you can have love without, where love is not enough. Where love is not enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me tell you something I realized that we were doing, and I only realized it the other night. But my best time with this man is at night when we're sleeping. He literally like grabs for me. He could come in later and I'm sleeping, and he just grabs my whole body and brings it into me. But I started realizing, those moments we were talking about earlier, Tony, when again our arguments get to the point where he's got to walk away. When we come back together, it's usually at night, where no distraction, the child is in bed, the phones are where they're supposed to be, and he actually holds me, and we go over the things that we were dealing with in the day, and we're not allowed to let the other person go until we've resolved it. And there's something about, again, the heartbeats, the feeling, all of that, what makes a difference. I think a lot of the times we go into these things with someone we love, and it's contentious, right? Because you're upset. And so look, he's sitting on one side and I'm sitting on one side. We're like, let's talk about what we were talking about earlier. But for us, and I didn't realize it until the other night, but we've been doing it, I think probably since I got here a year ago.
I remember I've been noticed it just from like, and again, we're not perfect. We're not batting 1,000 or nothing like that.
We're not.
But again, there's not a whole lot of nights we sleep back to back. You know what I mean? Because to me, that's kind of an indicator that I might not have breakfast in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, he's making his own. Well, I'll make my breakfast, and I'm like, I'm not making nothing.
She scrambled 2 eggs and made 2 pieces of toast, bro. I'm like, okay, I guess she hasn't chose me yet today.
But that was something that I realized really works for us. It's, yes, we could be upset, but there again, because we have the no disrespect, there's no elevated voices. It's here is what, and this is what I'm hearing from you as well. It isn't just, hey, this is how I'm feeling and I get to say that. He says, well, this is what I'm hearing from you as well. Because I think sometimes, again, I talk about it all the time in relationships, at work, in all of that. We listen to respond. We don't listen to understand. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult in a relationship if all your partner does is listen to respond. How can they understand what it is that you need to fix if they're just waiting for their turn, right? Like jump rope, or they're just waiting to jump in their turn. And we've created it. Like the other night, we had a moment where he spoke for probably about 30 minutes straight about that, babe. And maybe I said 10 words. It was his opportunity to say what he needed to say, all the long pauses that he has, because he's thinking, I didn't jump into any of it. It was when it was time for him to ask me a question, then I would respond, and then I go back to letting him speak, because I said, I understand how important it is to be heard.
Yeah. And
there's nothing worse than your partner not hearing you.
For sure.
Not for sure.
Yeah. So, again, before we get ready to wrap things up, I guess I want to throw it back. Candy, you still there? We can throw it back to you. You want to say anything in closing here?
I'm here. And that's a good point, an interesting point of view, to say you don't like somebody that you love very much.
Mm-hmm.
That's very understandable. That gives me a different perspective. Like, because that's true. Like, you can really just not like somebody that you love to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have zero control over the way that person behaves and moves, and that adds to the dislike a lot of times, because you like, we would get along so much better if they would choose A, but this person, for whatever reason, always chooses B, and but we make it. I don't know if we could be in a relationship if it's all like that. So, so we pushing on it. I wanted to say thank you, both of you guys, for joining us this evening.
I do want to add something before we go. So this is usually our question and answer time, because we know it's bedtime on Eastern time.
We're not on.
So before we go, we have a bowl of questions, but do either of you, Tony or Candy, have questions specifically for us that you'd like us to answer? We're an open book.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I was on. I just read. I don't have something off the top of my head. I
Mhm.
was curious to know if you guys have a regular time you can. I was on one other time before, but
Yes, you were.
yeah, I can't remember if this is the regular time or if
Yes,
it's
it
just
is.
This
So
is
it's
regular
every
now. Yes.
Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're
Okay,
actually on
okay.
Mountain Time, but we do it on Eastern Time. So 9 p.m.
Oh,
Eastern.
okay,
Yes.
okay. Well, I
Arizona's
hope.
very weird. We don't
Okay,
change time. The rest of the world does.
right. Well, I hope I'm
Wow.
alive to come to the next one because uh, the person that I brought up had sent
Then
me a
text
message
you.
saying she gonna kill my ass. So,
Them text
I
you.
didn't text
so I
ya.
might not be able to
All
make it
right.
to the
So
next
that's
You
one.
what's
didn't
up,
mention any
man.
names, so
I
and I'm
didn't
not
say
even gonna
names,
try to
but
guess.
I know she knows who. She knows who I was talking about. I
That's
think
what's up.
I
That's
have some
what's up.
friends out
Changing
there
the
that she knew I was
conversation
talking
around black relationships
about.
and reuniting old flames. We're doing all of
Yeah, but I appreciate you guys
that.
allowing
What?
me to talk.
No problem. What about you, Candy? Do you have any questions for us before we go to our bowl?
I don't, but thanks for having me, and
Absolutely.
I
Thank you for
look
sharing
forward
your
to seeing
story.
everything else. I was like, yes, I got it. There it is.
For sure.
We appreciate, again, we really want to change the conversation around black relationships. We want as many happy
For
black
real.
relationships and black families as possible, but it requires us to talk. And
Can't do it by yourself. We
no,
can't do it by ourselves for
Absolutely.
sure.
we need
So we
everyone
appreciate y'all
involved.
joining
You're
in
getting my
and
bowl.
talking with us. And I'll get the ball. You
He's
gotta
gonna get
fix
my
that.
bowl. And thank you guys. Please keep up as we answer these questions now. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
We don't need a speaker on this one. All
How
right.
do you get off here?
So let's see what's going on here. I don't know.
Tony's just trying to click off.
Okay.
There.
Oh, here it is.
Tony's like, how do
I
I
don't know if
click
you know
off?
how. Okay.
Awesome.
There we go.
So we are gonna. This is our bowl of questions. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can come live with us. And thank you again to both Candy and Tony for impromptu coming on.
Awesome.
We love that. Again, if you want to come on and you want to schedule it, let us know if there's a topic you'd like us to discuss and you'd be a part of. We're good with that. So you want to go first, or should I go first?
Sure. I will go first.
You've been doing good at reading my questions without needing me.
This is short, so maybe I can read this. When are you the most you? I really hate to say this, but when I'm upset, because the decorum and stuff falls away. And you just get pure, uncut, unfiltered
Unadulterated Rob.
and it's not always pretty.
Here's the thing. I think you tell the most about a person and how much they care about you when they're mad at you.
And how they, again, boundaries. Like,
Yeah.
again, if there's a line and they just do a double backflip into the pool off the high board over that line, like,
Yeah.
that's kind of saying, like,
Fuck you and everything you stand for.
Yeah, like Rick,
Fuck your feelings for real.
yeah, like Rick James did, Charlie Murphy and them couch, like, fuck your couch.
Okay. So I like that. Oh Lord, I have a long one. I write these questions and I sometimes don't remember where I put in this bowl. Ooh, would you take $3 million if it meant that the person you hate the most in the world gets 9 million? Of course I'd take 3 million. I don't think I hate anybody that much, but I wouldn't like 3 million. You know how much I could do with $3 million? So if the person gets 9 million, good for them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's like,
It's like a no-brainer, right?
I love money more than I hate them.
That part. That part. What is your next question?
What are two of the most important events in your life? Lord and mercy.
Yeah, break it down to two. Because I know you have a list.
One is Little Rob, Junior Rob. But honestly, junior year of high school, losing the state championship, that team was special, and that was probably the most painful loss I ever experienced. Like that one crushed, like for real. And second most eventful in my life, I don't know, man. I can't pick a second one. So many.
Oh, Jesus
They
Christ.
all
Just
run
pick one
out.
of mine.
I mean, I guess Danielle, birth of my oldest, first biological child, Danielle, that was
That would
just,
make sense.
I was a dad now. It made me, I will remember just, it almost instantly really, really, really helped me, like, looking at women a little bit differently.
Well, I actually expected that answer. I would expect Danny's birth to be one of the most
My
important events of
bug,
your
my
life.
bug. I changed a lot around for her too.
What's the most ambitious thing you've ever attempted? Writing and publishing 6 books in 6 months. So that was, I have a 6-book series that called the Sienna series. And once COVID started, I said, you know, what am I going to do? I was in consulting and things weren't going the way that I want. And I was like,
Thanks,
I am
Tony.
going to become a published author. And I wrote and published 6 books in 6 months. So if you're ever on Amazon, look up Toshiba Billings. I've got Sienna, all 6 parts, and I have the complete series in 1 book. So that would be that.
Boom, boom. All right.
I'm Jamaican.
You know what it is? It's because her boss is Toshiba Billings, and like I said earlier, she's the worst. Yeah.
Whatever, I did it.
What book or movie do you wish you would experience for the first time again? That is a really nostalgic question, and I have a really interesting answer to that one because it was just a special time in my life, and it was a special movie. It was a different movie. I remember I was in my first job playing ball overseas. I was actually in Finland at the time when Saving Private Ryan came out. And I remember being at that movie, being very pre-gamed up for the movie and remembering the opening scene of that movie. And it was just like nothing I had ever really seen before. And again, Saving Private Ryan, that movie still kind of like, the first time I saw that joint, I was like, oh, that was like some of the best money I ever spent.
I don't think I've seen that movie, so I guess we could see it together.
Yeah, I'll watch it again with you. That's young Matt Damon. Shout out to Matt Damon.
All right, so I will choose my last question, or whatever it is. We'll go back. Okay. What life experience did you miss out on? That's a good. You know what? I didn't have a full university experience. I think for me, I was going to school and working full-time hours in a part-time job. And people always laugh at that because I was hired part-time, but I would always pick up extra shifts. So I ended up working about 40 hours a week while going to university full-time. And then in my last year of university, I got pregnant with my daughter, and I actually graduated university pregnant. So I didn't have the full university experience. And unfortunately, my first and only biological child, she's not either having a great experience. She's in her 3rd year, and because of COVID, she's basically been online since her 1st year. So, but she did do a lot of things I didn't do, like the orientations and so forth. But I would say I didn't have a full experience, which is why I'm pushing for Danny to make sure she has a full and complete university experience.
I get it. I agree.
Okay, so you're yawning, and so we're gonna do one more each, and then we're done because this man starts yawning.
No, I yawn all the time. I could do this all night, but we got to stop it somewhere. I know. Who have you struggled? What have you struggled with your entire life? My temper, which I have managed significantly better, and my stubbornness, not so much.
Okay, well, there's that. And moving on, my last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Definitely not living in North America. My goal is to, here you go, Twins Inc. number, I think 3 I'd be on. My goal would be to move back to Jamaica and island. My other goal is to ensure that we are in a position where we can be doing whatever we want, whenever we want. Hence this show. We will be doing the show until the brakes fall off, basically.
No, we've been talking about or until she leaves me, whichever one comes.
Don't put that out to the universe. That was wrong.
But I'm just saying.
Don't put that to take it back.
I take it back, but I tell you again, I won't leave her. She'll leave me. I guarantee you. Vegas has very long odds on the deal already. You don't even get even money with her. But
shut your mouth. Anyway, so I would say in 5 years, we'd definitely be living internationally. definitely in a position where we have, multiple properties, all of those different things. Rob has lived internationally for basketball, so I envy that a bit in him. Clearly, I'm from an island and I lived in Toronto, so we've got that experience in terms of living in other places. But Rob, having played ball internationally, how many countries was it? So I know Germany,
Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela, Luxembourg for a hot second, France, and probably other quick stops in there somewhere that's just not coming up to the top of the head.
So you already see there's seven countries that he's lived in, and so that was an experience that I want to share with him. So again, if you remember in the beginning, I said, with him being in finance, we can kind of live anywhere. So we're already on a mission right now to see what international stops we can go on our journey. So definitely that's where I see us.
Yeah, and Phoenix is again, been here a minute. Feels like we're entertaining the options. Like let's put it like that.
So thank you everyone for joining. This was an unexpected show in terms of people coming on, but this is what we love. I love the idea that people can listen to us and leave with information, because again, the reason we're here is to change the conversation around Black relationships. I want to make sure I give a big shout out to our sponsor, Sorrel and Sage. Please follow them on Instagram. This is their website, shopsorrelandsage.com. And their Instagram is Sorrel and Sage CA. They make skincare for the sensitive soul. And with Rob's eczema, it has been amazing. So please check out our sponsor, Sorrel and Sage. If you're interested in sponsoring our show, or again, interested in coming on our show, please give us a DM, or you can email us as FYF the show at
3
gmail.com.
times on the Jamaica for sure. Thanks for the counter, Twinsy. We're gonna get the soundboard to keep the counter on and all that too. But thanks again, everybody. Changing the conversation around Black relationships, and we can't do that with just the two of us. So we're seeing the interaction is trending. We're gonna keep doing this, y'all. Thank you for, again, you could have been a lot of different places. Glad you were here with us for sure.
So thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Adios, amigos. Magana my bed.